Do you envision a Wall Street in which people don't have to pull all-nighters?
For sure. 40 years ago when Excel first came out, that's really what it did for the industry relative to pen and paper.
So this is sort of the Excel of the 21st century then?
I like to think so.
Mosaic is disrupting the private equity space by creating the first software as a service, or SaaS, platform that accelerates the deal-making process for big business.
We are here with Gutwinski, who's started Mosaic. You're upending Wall Street. Tell our viewers a little bit about what your company does.
Yeah, sure. Well, Mosaic is the world's first digital deal modeling platform. And what that means is for private equity firms that are looking at buying new businesses, for 40 years they've been doing that in Excel, doing an Excel analysis called an LBO, leveraged buyout analysis. It takes 2 to 14 hours to produce, depending on how complex it is and how good you are at Excel. And what Mosaic does is it's the world's first SaaS platform that takes that whole exercise and squishes it down into a 15-minute exercise.
So you're taking basically a 14-hour amount of work and compressing that into 15 minutes then?
Could be even more than 14 hours, honestly, depending on how complex the deal is.
So you now just enter numbers into one location and Mosaic does the math for you, or
Have you ever used like TurboTax for your own taxes?
Yes.
Yeah, so you go through a series of steps, asks you a bunch of questions, and then it fills out all the tax forms for you, right? What Mosaic does is it goes through a bunch of steps, asks you, how much EBITDA does this business have? How fast is it growing? How are you thinking about capitalizing it at entry? Takes that all in and then just like an associate would do in Excel, steps through, but in Python, all of the different steps, schedules, outputs that you would do within a fraction of a second.
It's been really surprising to me, because we've been seeing ChatGPT came out a couple of years ago. This has been sort of in the works for a long time, and yet we still, it seems like, are looking at people at some of these big banks who are staying up all night trying to complete these PowerPoints. Is that a fair analysis?
Absolutely. I think it's actually kind of crazy how long it's taken for this industry, for all its sophistication, for all the intelligence of the people working in it, to adopt technology. But I do think that a lot of the advances in Gen AI have actually made people see the light. "40 years ago when Excel first came out, that's really what it did for the industry relative to pen and paper. And I feel like we're going through that same transition again now, which will just allow these firms to do more than they ever could before.
So this is sort of the Excel of the 21st century then?
I like to think so. Like any technology, there's like an adoption curve. And what we focus on are those that are the most forward-thinking, the most forward-leaning, and we've had a lot of really great firms sign up for this because they understand that this is just a better way to do it. Ultimately, this is going to be the way that people are doing this in the future.
What does that mean for headcount as well? Does that mean that they don't need to hire as many associates or analysts to do the work if they have these tools?
I asked that question of Jerry Schwartz, who's the founder of NYNext, when Excel came out. Did this reduce a bunch of jobs? And he said, absolutely not. It increased the amount of work that we could do with the same number of people. So I don't think anyone's job is getting cut by this, because this is just a portion of their day. And if we can reduce that portion of their day, you still need them to do all the other things that they're doing, but maybe they'll sleep a little bit more. Maybe they'll have a better balanced life. And maybe these firms can grow to be larger with the exact same number of people they have today. That's kind of the way we think about it.
Do you think this is maybe being received because of a change in culture?
100%. It is so top of mind for the most senior leaders of these banks and private equity firms. Last Thanksgiving, we got a note from someone that said that they wouldn't have had a Thanksgiving weekend if they didn't have access to Mosaic. Because basically a deal came in the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and their managing director was like, we need to get this done ASAP, basically like we need it done by Monday. He was able to put it together, immediately send it to his MD. The MD was like, this is great, and that was it. People work nonstop in this industry, and anything you can do to shave off seconds, hours from their day is extremely helpful.
How did you scale so rapidly? These are very high level people you have to win over, right? It's not like going door to door in a random neighborhood and selling something. Like, you have to get in the door. This is presumably a really difficult thing.
It's a really tight community in the New York finance community specifically. Word of mouth spreads really quickly. If you do a good job with your first few customers, they go around and tell their friends.
I don't know, what's been your favorite part about being here and the opportunities it's presented you?
I love the way that New York celebrates ambition in a way that I haven't seen anywhere else in the world. And really, anything is possible if you work hard. It kind of gives you that feeling that like your upwards mobility is infinite if you're willing to put in the hours.